do not fear. Stop crying now. I'm back. I'm back. All right. You can all stop crying. I am back. You all missed me. I know you did. I appreciate the missingness. I am back though. It's nothing to worry about. I am all back. I'm going to be consistent now. It should all be good. I got lots of free time on my hands. So let's start recording videos and let's start streaming on something. Maybe Twitch, maybe YouTube. I haven't decided yet. Let me know if you've got a preference down below. But today we're doing a concept video. We are doing a Slenderman concept. If you like this video, make sure you leave a like down below. And if you like the kind of stuff that I'm doing in general, you like the concept, you like the kind of update videos for Dead by Daylight, make sure you subscribe and leave a bell. Click the bell so you get notified, because YouTube's mad and doesn't notify everybody when you upload a video. So you have to choose to do that. So yeah, do that with the bell button down below. But yeah, into the concept. Slenderman is a really cool character. He was created by the internet, which is fucking awesome. Some people are like mention like the Grossman. Like apparently he came from like a German folklore. That was the basic idea behind him. But I like the premise that he was made by the internet. So I'm gonna run with that. The internet made him. So basically, it started with like a Photoshop competition, and I remember seeing these pictures. I remember being shown these when I was younger and being like, what the fuck? And they were just like old pictures of like kids and stuff, and then there'd be a really tall guy in the background, basically Slenderman in the background, and then the photos would kind of explain, this is Mrs. and Mrs. Jones and their daughter Katie. Katie then disappeared 2 days after this photo was taken, and it's like meant to be implying that Slenderman kidnaps kids. That's the basics of it. Go research it yourself if you want to read up on it more. It's really cool, and go play the games. They're awesome as well. So for the concept, Slenderman customization. Obviously he'd look like the normal kind of Slenderman with a suit, no face, and kind of claws and stuff, maybe tentacles as well. I'll explain the tentacles a bit later. I've done something a bit different with those. But yeah, he's pretty standard looking. Obviously, the model in the game would be a bit more detailed than it. Well, a lot more detailed, a lot more textured than this. This is just something I scraped from Google. Apparently, some of you don't realize that I don't make the models myself. Some of you don't realize that I don't think this is actually how Slenderman's going to look. This is literally a reference. Literally a reference, so you know what Slenderman looks like. If I just had it blank, then you'd be like, well, that's a fucking boring video. Obviously, I have to choose a reference, so people are just dumb. Don't be dumb. If you're commenting, don't be dumb. Literally take a second. Take a second and let your neurons fire a little bit and be like, could this be... am I commenting a smart comment or not? Most of the time, it's going to be fucking no, so don't comment. I'm sorry. No, some of you can comment. If you're smart, you can comment. If you're dumb, you can't. That's the moderation that goes on in this channel, just so you know. Anyway, rants aside, let's have a look at the cosmetics I've come up with. One of them is just the cosmetic from the film. There was a film called The Slenderman. I hated it. Some of you might have liked it. Doesn't really matter because it's a cool... It's something you could put in the game. It's something you could put in a concept. Like, Slenderman's a hard concept to do because it's so basic. It's like internet created, but... I'm sure some of you guys in the comments are going to have some really good ideas. So yeah, if you've got good ideas, let me know. But I come up with 2 cosmetic ideas, which is how he looks in the film. And then I wanted to reference the fact that Endermen in Minecraft were influenced by it. So I made a purple Slenderman edit thing. It is fucking terrible. I was like, I'm not going to just put a photo of an Enderman, am I? I can't just put a photo of an Enderman. So I just kind of colored Slenderman purple. But I don't. It would never be in Dead by Daylight. I just thought it would be fucking funny to bring reference to the fact that there could be an Enderman running around in Dead by Daylight stabbing people. That's kind of all I wanted to do, okay? That's all I wanted to do. But yeah, the customization concepts are pretty basic for Slenderman because he's got such an iconic look. You know, it's kind of like the Demogorgon. Like, you can't really do much kind of to his cosmetic because he's so iconic. Again, same with like Pyramid Head. Same with any of the licensed kind of killers. Like, you can't change them too much because they are iconic in their own ways. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it is what it is. I forgot to mention at the start of the video that I am not doing a survivor just because there's nobody that really stands out. Like, the film doesn't stand out to me, so I didn't want to use any of those characters. And then in the games and stuff, it's all like first person, so you can't really choose any of them. So I don't know, there wasn't really anybody I could think of. If you guys have your own ideas for survivors, let me know down below. But I didn't really want to make my own survivor because the only kind of idea I had was like an urban legend hunter, like somebody that hunts like Bigfoot, Yetis and things like that. And then what are like urban legends like Chupacabra and stuff like that, you know, people that hunted those kind of creations, like ghost hunters maybe. And then they had perks revolving around like video cameras or like evidence USB drives, things like that. I thought that would be quite a cool idea, but I didn't know how to visualize it. And then what model would I use? You know, what would I use as a model? I couldn't think of anything. So leave it down below. Any text-based ones are a lot easier than kind of video-based ones. So yeah, that would be awesome to see. But let's move on to the character info. You might be surprised to see that I've put him at 4.6 meters a second with a 32 meter terror radius, because realistically that doesn't make much sense with Slenderman based on how he kind of kidnaps people. But he's obviously tall. I'll explain why I've chosen those kind of speed and stuff in a minute. In the power, which is called the Arrival. So before I go into kind of explaining the power, let me explain my thought behind it. What I really wanted to do with this concept is kind of replicate the experience of playing the 8 pages or the Arrival. So kind of replicate the experience of when you see Slenderman in those games, but in Dead by Daylight. So I'm not really thinking, as always, I'm not really thinking about balance. I'm not thinking about gem pressure or anything like that. I'm literally just thinking, how do I replicate this kind of killer's lore and experience, or from the games and the movie and stuff like that? How do I replicate that in the game? And the best kind of way I came up with it was kind of narrowed it down to the key elements, which is the 8 pages and the fact that he kind of appears out of nowhere, and then he's quite slow and kind of like moves towards you slowly, and you have like the slender sickness or like the glitch effect, and it affects your vision and hearing in some way. Those are the kind of key things. So what I came up with is the power called the Arrival. And the idea is that Slenderman moves through his alternate dimension, appearing to survivors only when it's necessary. He's undetectable when he's in his dimension, and he can't attack. So the entity also makes 8 pages appear in the environment. Now, when you activate your ability, pressing the power button, which is called Can't Run, the Slenderman is visible to survivors after a brief channel. When he's visible, the Slenderman has a terror radius of 32 meters and can attack survivors at a cost of greatly reduced movement speed. While looking at the Slenderman, survivors have their vision obstructed by a glitch effect and suffer from the blindness and deafened effects. Obviously, there would be add-ons to add more effects. So when you're looking at him, so like things like the exposed effect, the hindered effect, maybe you'd be like frozen, like your movement speed reduced even more. Little things like that, but I thought for the basic power, he would just give like blindness and deafen, which are 2 kind of not very powerful effects. Maybe you could do broken as well. I don't really know. I just wanted to give them some not too powerful effect as a base kit, basically. When you press and hold the power button, you then, the second time, the Slenderman then returns to his own dimension. The other way you can get sent to your own dimension is if a survivor cleanses one of the 8 pages. That forces the Slenderman to cancel his power, stunning him for a few seconds, and returns him to his dimension. The used page then gets destroyed. I thought that had to be like limited. You couldn't do that all the time, or survivors would literally dedicate one of their Survive with Friends to break pages every single time he appears, and then you just wouldn't get anything done. So I thought that's the only way it makes sense to me, but you need to get the 8 pages in there, otherwise it's not a Slenderman concept, basically. I hope it makes sense to you. Like, from the survivor's point of view, what will happen is they won't see the Slenderman, they won't be able to hear the Slenderman, and then he'll just kind of pop out of nowhere. He'll be super slow, but the next part explains that he's got a longer range, so he uses his tentacles to kind of attack people instead of like a weapon or anything, and they've got a long range, so he's got slow movement speed, and he can teleport. So those he's got long attack range and teleport. Those are his basic powers. But he is super slow when he's not teleporting. I mean, it's not actual teleporting, it's just to the survivors, it looks like teleporting. He still moves at 4.6 meters a second. So it's not like Spirit, where she's accelerated. His power is basically being invisible, realistically, when you think about it. But regarding the tentacles, I've called them the Entity's Gift. Because like some of the kind of forums I read about Slenderman and stuff when researching this video mentioned him being called the Entity, and I was like, that's quite cool. That's kind of a fun coincidence. So what if we do our own spin on it? Like, realistically, this is the benefit of it being like a creepypasta urban legend kind of deal. Like, I can say he's fueled by jelly beans and he picks up jelly beans as he runs around the map, and that gives him power. Like, I could say that, and there's nobody that can say, actually, that doesn't happen in this film, so it means that he doesn't do that. Like, I could just make up whatever I want and say, hey man, it's a fanfic. Like, is it? It's fucking cool. So basically I made it so that the Entity gave him his tendrils, basically. So I've called it the Entity's Gift, and that's kind of a reference to the fact that his tentacles kind of look like the Entity kind of spikes that you get on the hooks and at the end game collapse. I thought that was pretty sweet, so we've given him those. Those have an increased range, as I mentioned below, and they replace the basic attack. When an injured survivor is within attack range and is looking directly at the Slenderman, you can press the active ability button to activate the entity's gift, which impales the survivor on a tendril, enabling them to be carried without first entering the dying state, which is cool. It saves a bit of time. It's not like, it doesn't save that much time, but it's quite cool that they're injured, they're within range, you can literally just stab them and pull them towards you. I think that's quite a nice little thing. And I came up with an add-on, probably an ultra rare realistically, to go with the entity's gift as well. So the way it would work is that when you impale a survivor in this way, they start being sacrificed. So at 25% of the normal speed. So it wouldn't be like super, it would be really slow, basically, a slow progression. But it means that they have less time on the hook if you've impaled them in this way, which would be quite nice. I quite think that's kind of a cool idea. But obviously it's an ultra rare add-on, so it would be, you're using an ultra rare add-on to get that benefit. And it's not a massive benefit anyway, it's just a kind of a cool one. But I think that's explained the power quite well. I think that makes sense to me. I've explained the 8 pages, right? Yeah, I did. Okay. And then the other add-on I came up with was basically a really obvious one. I think I mentioned it actually, is that when you're looking at the Slenderman, when he's using the arrival, you get exposed. So it means that he's got the increased range and you're exposed. You're basically fucked whenever he appears, and that's an ultra rare add-on. It would be literally the same level as like tier 3 what's it called, Tombstone Myers kind of level. Like, you're just fucked basically. I quite like the power. I think it's quite cool, and I do think it's kind of stays true to the games and kind of had that experience for the survivors. So yeah, I think it's pretty sweet. So let's go on to the 3 teachable perks. The first teachable perk is called Something Awful, and that is a reference to the forum where the Slenderman legend kind of began. The extent of your true power remains hidden. One hex totem appears as a normal totem to survivors. This totem takes 30% longer to cleanse, and cleansing can be heard from an additional 8 meters away. Now, this I made before Hex Undying was even announced, so this with Hex Undying would be unreal. Imagine if Hex Undying was the totem that appears as a normal totem, and then you've got like Ruin, Die, Devour Hope, and stuff like that. And literally, people can't cleanse totems. It would be awesome. It would be really cool. It would combine with that really well. That you could do some really nasty builds with this. But yeah, it's basically just an addition to a Hex totem build, which is pretty simple but pretty cool at the same time. Then you've got Urban Legend, which is the second perk. Tales of your mysterious terror are spread by word of mouth. When you're undetectable, survivors performing cooperative actions within 40 meters of you have their auras revealed. This was tough to explain. I didn't want it to just be cooperative actions. I wanted it to be like unhooking. I wanted it to be unhooking, healing, repairing generators, any kind of like mending each other. You can't mend each other. What can you do? Like snap people out of it and like wake people up. Anything like that where you're benefiting someone else, I thought would be really cool. So it's kind of like buffed Nurse's Calling, but only when you're undetectable and for a longer range, basically. The only reason I came up with this is because undetectable is a status effect that the devs keep chucking in pretty much every killer. So it's something they really like putting in. So I thought it'd be nice to kind of give undetectable a bit of value. Well, obviously it's got a lot of value anyway, but to give it a bit more value with a perk, which would be quite nice. The third perk is another Minecraft reference. I'm sorry, everybody that hates Minecraft. I don't know why you'd hate Minecraft. It's a fucking phenomenal game. But anyway, the end, ? This is the achievement you get at the end of the game. And I've just put your greatest achievement is yet to come, which doesn't really make sense, but fuck it, I've put it in there. The endgame collapse timer progresses 25% quicker. This I can actually see come into the game with some sort of killer, because it's the one thing that they haven't touched yet is the endgame collapse. Like, it would be cool if you could sacrifice the perk slot to make the endgame collapse timer progress 25% quicker. That would work really well with like Nowhered, Remember Me, and a Blood Warden build, which, as some of you might know, is one of my favorite builds, just for absolute destruction and fun. And it's pretty basic. It's a pretty basic idea. Like, I think I played it kind of safe with this one on the concept, but it is something that I think works, and I think it works well with the reference to Minecraft as well. So 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do than by the ones you did do. That's the quote you get when you complete Minecraft, basically. Well, not complete Minecraft, when you defeat the Ender Dragon, is when that happens. Yeah, I think it's an okay perk. I think the 3 perks are okay. Honestly, I think that, the second perk, Urban Legend, would be absolutely disgusting on Slenderman. I think, because he's undetectable most of the time, it would be disgusting. It would just be ridiculous, but it would be awesome at the same time. So yeah, that's pretty sweet. Let's talk about the Moris next. The Mori would be kind of cool for Slenderman just because of his tentacles, so he'd probably appear like behind the survivor, kind of flip them around with the tentacles, then like stretch out the limbs a little bit, and then he'd use other tentacles to like stab them in the gut or something like that. Then look at them, like bring them really close to his face, like really creepily with like the glitch sound effect playing, the weird high pitched noise that happens in the Slender games. and then he like throws them to the ground or something like that. That's kind of the vision I had. Mori's some of the most fun comments I ever read. So if you have any other ideas, somebody mentioned like they put the survivor into a tree, kind of like in the film, but I was like, they'd have to be near a tree, maybe, or like he'd summon a tree from the ground, but then the tree would disappear. I don't really know how it would work, but that's a really, really cool idea, and I would love to see something like that for a Slenderman chapter. I mean, not chapter, paragraph, whatever. I don't fucking know. I don't know what they're called. It doesn't matter. It's a concept. But yeah, Slenderman in Dead by Daylight, I'd like to see a Mori like that. Mine's a bit less creative, I'd say, but it's quite difficult to come up with ideas. Like, there's not many things you can do with Slenderman because he pretty much just kidnaps people. Like, I saw some comments on my polls like, he's not even a killer. I'm like, I mean, I guess he doesn't kidnap them and then just watch them, does he? He just pretty much does kill them. Like, I know some of the stories have said he feeds on them and stuff, but I don't fucking know. I don't know. It's an urban legend. It's a creepypasta. Whatever I say goes. Like I said, he's fueled by jelly beans. There we go. New canon, Slenderman fueled by jelly beans, all right? May somebody write me a fan fiction about Slenderman fueled by jelly beans. I'll be happy. But does it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Like I said, if you did, leave a like, and if you're new here, make sure you subscribe and turn the bell on for notifications. I'm going to try and upload more consistency, like I said. So make sure you stay tuned for those, and any kind of ideas and stuff, let me know down below. And I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.